So in the last video, I showed you a common chip pitch technique. It's more of a driven shot. It's a 60-degree wedge. These shots were maybe going, thigh high, knee high, with some good spin on them. Looks a little bit like this. Ball's back on toward the trail heel, weights on the lead heel, handles toward the lead heel. Here's this driven little shot, very close to the golf ball. I've got my levels managed and my radius managed. Ball gets hit, ball responds, pretty good shot, tap in, love it. Okay, now how do we offset these a little bit, or how do we get these to go a little bit higher, launch a little bit higher? So what's cool about this is now you have an awareness. The driven shots are very much radius pushing, sustaining that push, moving that through this striking area, very reliable way to hit these pitches and chips. And I say, that's how you're going to hit 75% of your shots around the green. Now, there are times when you want to soften this, deflect it a little bit more, have slightly higher launch, slightly steeper landing angle so the ball doesn't roll out. And so with this, you can kind of have the sense of, I can have a little bit more throw. But here's the cool thing. I have throw with radius, meaning that tension on the band right there it's completely in place. So here's throw with radius. It's not me flinching, my elbows closer to me. So as I move the ball maybe a little bit more forward of the dimension set on the toolbox, trail foot, lead foot, I'm going to put it more toward the middle, somewhere in the middle of that area. Again, narrow stance, maybe my stance is open to just a sliver. Here's me with a sense of letting the club flee a little bit more, but I still have radius. And then when I'm done hitting these, I let my left hand bend back a little. So this is more of an undercut, little bit more of a higher launch shot. So I still have managing my level, so no dipping around, no Elvis Presley knees, thank you very much. And let's have this little bit of radius, but with a little bit of club throw involved, and let these launch a sliver higher. So there's a slightly higher launch, slightly steeper landing angle. Ball clipped very nicely, ball first, even a baby divot there. So the feels of pushing a radius, letting the club pass by that radius. And if I did this to the camera, you'll see what I mean. I've got a push, the push is in place, and there's a mild overtaking. So most of my chips and pitches I'm going to have the push and sustain that thumbs down feel as I hit more of a driver. This shot's a little bit more elevated, ball's a bit more forward, handle's a little forward, ball's off the toe, and a little bit more of a radius with a bit of throw. And this is just a bit of practice, having fun. And there's a little toss, slightly higher launch angle, little steeper landing angle. And you can play around with this, and that's what I say, play. You can do it out of the rough. If you're hitting out of the rough, go ahead and expect the nested grass behind the ball to get in the way. The ball will pop up a little higher because there's less friction because there's grass in the way. So this is a tight lie situation. The reason I do most of my coaching talking about this is that most people are nervous because there's not much room between the south pole of the ball and the earth. There's a beautiful condition, but this does make people nervous versus being in the 1 or 2 inch country club rough where the ball sits perched and you can, quote, kind of scoop at it. So as I hit these radius controlled toss shots, one of my coaches at the golf school, Jim Waldron, likes to call it that, a little bit of a toss, but the radius is in control. I can deflect the face a little bit more, a little bit toward the toe, so there's the pushing radius of the band, the management of elevation from the foot strap and band, and then go ahead and feel that radius and toss. There's a nice high launch, steeper landing angle, pretty good little shot. Now, let's get into some troubleshooting. The swing trainer is going to clean up a lot of stuff you do around the green right away. But the reason I like to set up in this format is a lot of times visually, I never want to see the golf club get inside this aim stick. Everything feels like it's out there at a radius in front of me. Never feels like it goes back behind me. Why? Because if we get the club behind us, then negotiating how the club fits into the area below the equator of the ball and then touching the ground is way trickier because you can chunk a lot of shots. It leads to a lot of flinching because you don't exactly know why you miss. You just don't understand that if you swing the club too much around you, fitting into that spot's not very easy. But if we get over these shots and we just have the club feel like it travels more straight back and straight through and stays on that side of the aim stick between our cozied up toe line and ball, we have a lot more success negotiating that important spot, touching the ball with a nice attack angle with a good radius. So this club feels like it's staying in front of me vertically, hitting a little shot, and there's a nice little checker. That was a driven checker. That's going to be a shot that I can convert as an up and down. So let's keep this stuff in front of you with those good senses of radius. Keep your elevation. You're going to do fantastic, whether you hit the common one or you add just a little bit of throw with a sustained radius. It'll give you weapons around the green.